Hi, Tom. Can you please speak about willpower and perhaps when you're not doing something that you know is good for you and resistance to that and how that relates to willpower?
See, the thing is, if I'm all the time thinking, I shouldn't eat the donut, I shouldn't eat the donut, I really just shouldn't eat the donut. Okay, I'm just going to go out for a walk now. And then I smelled a donut. Oh no, I shouldn't eat the donut, I shouldn't eat the donut. We end up spending, so much time thinking about the donut, trying not to think about it. It's like the old joke about, don't think of an elephant. You have to think of the prohibited thing in order not to think of the prohibited thing. And so then, the idea of willpower is an idea that, somehow there are things I should be doing and there are things I shouldn't be doing. And no amount of will seems to help me do the thing that I know that I should do, and or to prevent me from engaging in things that I think aren't probably good for me or maybe not good for other people. And the history of the earth is littered with all the legion stories of people who had compulsive behaviors and just couldn't help themselves. You know, everything from, people who sadly became so compelled by an inner compulsion toward an experience that it may have been harmful to other people or even murderous, or it could have just been harmful to themselves where they just kind of imploded based on their compulsions. And, it's a danger to our longevity to be compulsive, But the way out is not willpower. It's not willpower. If you're listening to some really bad music, music that maybe they had some kind of intention, but it's all dissonant and things are crashing and, it just doesn't seem to work for anybody. And it wouldn't matter who was listening, they'd all think it was rubbish. How do you stop listening to that music? Well, you put on a much more pleasant melody over there. When the more pleasant melody starts wafting in from the doorway, the mind will naturally move to the greater charm without any effort of the more pleasing experience. Our minds are structured in that way. When our mind is obsessing over a particular compulsion, and I think I have to apply willpower, it won't work. It doesn't work. I have to apply willpower to it. Don't apply willpower, no. Take the mind to the field of greater charm. What's more charming than the donut? The experience of the infinite, pure, serene, and supreme inner contentedness of being. That's far more charming than a donut. Let me just remind my listeners of what happens when we practice Vedic meditation. We make use of a mantra, a particular kind of sound that takes us inward. And it's not one mantra, there are different mantras that work best for different people. And when you begin thinking your mantra, something rather magical happens. That pulsation of sound, that medium of experience, continues to get more and more charming. More and more charming is also a competitive thing. It's more charming than thinking about donuts, or thinking about this isn't done or that's not done, or thinking about, my friend who's going crazy, or thinking about how can I style a revenge Instagram, or whatever. The charm of all of these relativities pales by comparison to that pulsation of sound that with each pulsation is becoming more and more fascinating. I love using the word mellifluous. Mellifluous means melly for honey, fluous for flowing, a sweet honey flowing sound, mellifluous sound. And as it repeats, it's taking us into realms of the thinking process that are increasingly abstract. And as the mind experiences those ever-increasing abstract layers, we're approaching the bliss field. And the bliss field is bliss, not ecstatic happiness, but that supreme contentedness that is so great that even touching that state for a moment, the mind can stay conscious, and the mind there cannot conceive of anything that could be better than this experience of being. And so the mind falls mute. Silence is a product of experiencing supreme inner contentedness. Everybody knows there's a relationship between the two, but we often think, if I could silence my mind, then I'd get to the supreme inner contentedness. Willpower will take me to the supreme inner contentedness. It does not. It is the raw experience of the supreme inner contentedness. This is the cause, the source of the silence that follows. And so when we want to have compulsions silenced, when we want to have obsessions silenced, we can't use willpower, a competing thought that contains the prohibited thing, in order to stop us from having the, engaging in the prohibited thing. We have to transcend. To transcend is a wonderful word. It means to step beyond. And how do you step beyond? You can't do it by force. Force doesn't work. We do it by charm. Take the mind to greater and greater and deeper layers of charm, greater and deeper layers of contentedness, and all of that thinking tendency evaporates away. And so then, as we keep practicing our Vedic meditation morning and evening, and the supreme inner contentedness begins to work its way into the fabrics of the mind. In the beginning days, it's only there during meditation time. As we continue practicing, that supreme inner contentedness works its way into the fabric of the thinking process. And one's ground state is, I'm content. I'm content. A contented mind can choose, would it like to have a little bit of donut? No donut at all? A nice kale leaf? Or what? Contented mind can make rational decisions. Contented mind is liberated. It's completely liberated. It's free to decide anything that seems to make sense. And it can attain to balance because it's not obsessing anymore. So saturate the mind with contentedness, and obsessive thinking, compulsive thinking, just begins to vanish and vanish and vanish, and then it's gone.